Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Not you. You can choke.
Hey everybody, it's me, RunnerEye, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 weirdest moments in all of Drag Race. Now, Drag Race is weird. She's a weirdo, she doesn't fit in, and she doesn't want to fit in. Which means that sometimes we get really bizarre scenes kind of like thrown into this show. So I thought, why not take a little journey through the bizarre things that have happened in this show, the really kind of like left field, weird, fever dream type things that this show has brought to us. So let's get right into it. So first up, we have the I think I killed Judy Garland scene. So in the season 5 makeover, the queens were tasked with making over some like gay veterans, and Jinx was assigned the partner of Dave. And Dave has a very fascinating, interesting backstory, which I'll just let him tell you.
We're going to do a Judy and Liza tribute.
Oh my goodness.
I've got the backstory.
Tell me about that.
I think I might have killed Judy Garland.
Now, this is one of the craziest moments in all of Drag Race. It's like one of the only times that you can see like RuPaul was like, huh? You know, like the meme where it's like, even she was weirded the fuck out. Like, that's literally RuPaul in this scene. But this man, Dave, has like the most crazy like history with not only with Judy Garland and how he murdered her.
We were talking one night at dinner, and she asked me about the new sleeping pills that were out. I told her about a new one, and she died of an overdose.
But also just like his history on the show. You may have not known that Dave has shown up on the show multiple times. You might recall in the stand-up challenge on season 6 that Ben de la Creme was heckled off the stage by a random man in the crowd. That man was Dave.
With something that made the whole thing worthwhile.
So tell us a joke.
Good night, everybody.
You might also recall that Bianca makes fun of a man who was sleeping in the crowd who fell asleep during her set. That man was Dave.
I like the gentleman in the back who's sleeping. Makes me feel right at home. Can you wake that bitch up? Yeah, the one right there with the horizontal stripes. Not a good look in your third trimester, sir. All right?
You might even recall when Jinx Monsoon came back to All Stars and she did Judy Garland as her Snatch Game character. She references a man called Dave, and I mean, like, put two and two together. That was a reference to Dave.
You see, there's a veteran named Dave who's been on your show, and he said he was worried that he killed me. And I want to say, Dave, if you're watching, you're not responsible, darling. It's all right. You're forgiven.
Like, this man haunts the RuPaul's Drag Race, backlots, and he just, like, causes as much chaos as humanly possible. So next up, we have the soup cans seen in the pop art ball. So in the pop art ball on All Stars 3, the queens had to participate in a ball themed around Andy Warhol. And as a tribute to Andy Warhol's Campbell Soup art piece, the queens were tasked with creating their own brand of soup. And I had to represent them as a person and as a character on the show. And then they had to wear that soup on the runway. They didn't carry it out, which would make more sense, or make a corresponding outfit that complemented the soup can like they have on other challenges. They literally had to wear a soup can down the runway, and they were just kind of little heads popping out of soup cans. And the funny thing is, both Trixie and Ben de la Creme have been on the pit stop since and have talked about how insane this challenge was, and even they were confused by it, so it wasn't just the audience.
I'll never forget that soup thing. Sometimes I have memories of that. I'm just like, what was that? And I remember it was the first time on Drag Race, period, I'd won a challenge, and people were like, yeah, but what was it? I'm like, I don't know.
So next up, we have the hidden camera that was installed in the RuPaul statue. So in the season 9 episode Dragly Ever After, which honestly could be its own, entry on this list. But in this episode, RuPaul enters the workroom. He diverts attention to the Madame Tussauds wax figure in the corner of the room, which would be fine on its own. The show is filled with advertisements for everything under the sun. So it wouldn't surprise me if Madame Tussauds wanted to do a wax figure advertisement or whatever. It wouldn't be out of place, but what is out of place is the fact that RuPaul continues about this wax figure, and then he starts to tell the queens that it would be a shame if there was like a camera that was installed in the eyes of the wax figure and that it was like constantly watching them and to be careful about what they do because they're constantly under surveillance. And it's like out of nowhere. Like he says this unprompted. He just randomly wanted to make sure that the queens had like paranoia about like someone, you know, spying on them from the eye of the doll. It's literally Talking Angela Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. And it's funny because like absolutely none of the queens are like unnerved by this at all. You know, it's almost like they signed up to do like a televised reality TV competition. Like they don't have time to worry about the little camera in the eye of the RuPaul doll because they have to worry about like the camera crew with the big fuck off cameras on their shoulders. And the best thing about it is that like it never gets brought up again. Like RuPaul never brings up this idea of like the thing watching them. It never has any like narrative payoff. But it just gets brought up and he's just like, hey, this doll is spying on you, like watch out for it. And then it's never, you know, mentioned ever again. So next up we have Max randomly bursting out into song. So in the season 7 Snatch game, Max landed in the bottom for the first time ever. And in this scene, Max starts to become like undone from the stress of landing in the bottom. And she then loosens up her corset so that she can breathe better. She was probably having a panic attack or something adjacent to that. And then she is brought down by production to sit on like the steps at the front of the stage. And then, out of nowhere, Max begins singing.
Are you okay?
So I can quite recall overnight sensation.
And the show like cuts to confessionals of people like shit talking Max in this moment, saying that she's like a drama queen and that she's doing this for attention.
Here we go. Cue the dramatics. You can tell she's the actress.
So bizarre. But you may also, and this is like pretty well known, but like this is like a heavily edited sequence of events because what actually happened was that Max had like the panic attack, was asked to like sit down at the front of the stage, and then in order to calm her down from the panic attack, RuPaul asked her to sing like one of her favorite songs so that it would like distract her and kind of like get her mind off of the anxiety. So then Max starts singing because RuPaul requested her to sing, but the editors decided to make Max seem like absolutely insane by editing out this entire portion which explains why she starts singing. So then it just looks like Max starts singing for no reason. But it really does exemplify the power of editing. So as much as RuPaul likes to dismiss people, you know, by saying, you know, blame it on the edit, blaming it on the edit is very, you know, valid in a lot of cases, this being one of them. Like, just because you make a song that like addresses criticism that you've received, it doesn't like delegitimize it just because you put it in song form. Just ask Colleen Ballinger. So next up we have Jinx Monsoon professing love to Ivy Winters. Now this is one of my favorite moments in all of Drag Race. I think it's so goddamn funny. It's in like my top two moments. The other moment being Gia Gunn screaming, "You're gonna die!" But this entry refers to a coming up next section that was on season 5 of Drag Race, where the show tried to make it look like Jinx Monsoon professed love to Ivy Winters, despite knowing her for like only a couple of days.
Coming up.
Can I open up to you about something?
Mm-hmm.
I have a crush on Ivy Winters. I love you.
It's so good because the show just like flat out lied. Like it's so shamelessly lying to the audience. I just respect the hustle because what actually happens, like if you watch the rest of the episode, what actually happens is that Jinx does have a crush on Ivy, so that's like good for them. But then Ivy Winters, when she's saying I love you, that's actually just Ivy talking to her family on like a video call on like fucking Skype back in the day. And they just like edited it together to make this fucking insane scene. It's so good. Season 5 is my favorite season, and it's because of shit like this. The show just did not give a fuck at all. So next up we have the Shade Tree from season 8. So the Shade Tree was like a special confessional room that was seen on season 8 and never again. And it was supposed to be like a different type of confessional room where you know, like honestly, they didn't really describe why it was that different. The only thing that I can see that's different about it is that you were allowed multiple people to do confessionals at once. That's like the only thing that was different, because even though it's called like the Shade Tree, like oftentimes the scenes that you would see from it were just people being friends. So it was like the opposite of the Shade Tree. It was like the sunlight on the skin tree.
Can't you see I'm trying to get some sunlight on the skin?
So this room was only seen a couple of times throughout season 8, and it was theorized by the queens that they didn't use a lot of this footage from the Shade Tree because they kind of conflicted the narratives that they wanted to tell on season 8. And also, I feel like they just ended up getting rid of it because it's literally the exact same room as the normal confessional room. There's like no difference other than, again, multiple people were allowed in it. It was basically just like a different aesthetic for the normal confessional room, and that was it. So next up, we have the fake bus ride of season 5. So in the first episode of season 5, the queens were told that they were going to be taking a bus tour through RuPollywood, and this would bring them to the destination of the Maxi Challenge. So then it cuts to like this like bit, I guess, or this skit, where the queens are like getting on a tour bus and they're like waving at people from, you know, up top. But they're also, and this is where it gets weird, because it's like, that'd be fine on its own, but then they start waving at like the different celebrity guest judges that will appear on that season. But it's like extremely clear that the guest judges filmed their part for this on a green screen. So it's like it was edited together to make it look like they were waving at the guest judges. Like, it's insane. Like, it knows that no one's believing it, but it also tries to play it off as seriously as humanly possible. And it gets like queens to do confessionals talking about these celebrities that they saw and were waving to.
I'm getting my life on this bus. Celebrities waving back. Oh my gosh, it's like a dream come true.
This entire scene is hilarious. I love it so much. It's so bad. It's so campy. It's so stupid. It's so good. So next up, we have the season 10 pancake mini challenge. So season 10 had some, you know, pretty weird mini challenges. They were definitely experimenting during this phase of the show. But another one that I'm okay with talking about that's not, you know, super uncomfortable is the pancake mini challenge from season 10, where Cheyenne Jackson came in as a guest judge to judge makeovers of pancakes, which is like kind of random. I get why that they would do like a makeover of pancakes, because it's like a stupid mini challenge and you're putting like a pancake in drag and like that's supposed to be funny. But the weirdness comes from Cheyenne Jackson's just presence in the mini challenge, because I don't know why they decided to go with like this very like serious tone. I'm guessing it's supposed to be like super serious to contrast against how stupid the idea is, but then it just ends up being really awkward. And like, I don't even, you know, blame Cheyenne Jackson for this, because what is he supposed to say? What is he supposed to say when tasting these people's pancakes? He was given like, you know, a breadcrumb of a slice of the pancake, which I get is the joke, like that's the joke, and it's supposed to be like a very serious deadpan take on this very stupid thing, but it just is awkward to watch. So next up, we have Chicken or What, which honestly is one of the most disgusting mini challenges that we've ever had on the show. I'm gonna be, you know, not showing you the disgusting footage, so don't worry. But in the Country Queens episode of season 2, the queens were forced to participate in a mini challenge called Chicken or What, where they were fed different gross foods while being blindfolded, and they had to guess if it was chicken or what. And it's disgusting. Again, I'm not going to show you some of the more gross footage from this mini challenge, because I'm going to be like a blocker. I shield you. I'm like, you know, like that meme where the guy is like getting like killed by like a bunch of things and he's like getting stabbed in the back and stuff for the person to be sleeping soundly. That's what I did for you guys, because I have to freaking edit with this shit. But the queens are fed like bull testicles and like cow brains and stuff, and it's just gross. We're gonna be swiftly moving on as fast as possible. I don't want to talk about this one anymore. This is when the show was trying to figure out what it was, and it was trying to like still, you know, like they would never do this today. I don't think that they would ever even touch something like this today. But back in like 2010, this was all the rage, I guess. So next up, we have the sidekick from season 13. So in the Freaky Friday episode of season 13, the queens were brought to a sidekick called Char Margolis. But I do think that this is an important time to note that like whether or not you think this is a weird like mini challenge is kind of dependent on if you believe in this kind of like more mystical side of the world, and if you believe in sidekicks and stuff. Because I don't believe in them, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't believe in it at all. And to me, this mini challenge is just like the production like whispering in this woman's ear. She might not even be a psychic for all I know. She could just be someone that they grabbed in from off the street. But the way that I look at this is just like the production taking shit that the queens have said in confessionals and then telling this woman and being like, hey, ask them about X, Y, and Z, to try and like get the queens to talk about what they want them to talk about. And it kind of just leads to like this really kind of like bizarre scene, because at one moment you have like the sidekick kind of being like, oh, like you, Tina Burner, your father, you didn't have like a good relationship with him. And then Tina Burner's like, yeah, I didn't. And then she's like, Utica, you have a cow, didn't you? And then she's just like, I'm the medium for the cow and I'm gonna start mooing at you.
She wants you to know
What the fuck are you doing?
But it's just like emotional whiplash of like, you know, going from a very serious topic of like someone's relationship with their parent to now being like, I'm gonna start mooing at one of the contestants because I'm a medium for the cow. It's like, okay. And then they also try and kind of like bait Utica and Rose to say that they have like crushes on one another. Because like that was something that was kind of like brewing up through the season, and they were like, well, we got to get them to talk about it somehow. So they just like brought in a psychic to make them talk about it. It's just like, I don't know. As someone who does not believe in psychics, it just comes off as like kind of manipulative. I'm not gonna lie, if you're into psychics, you maybe watch this and be like, oh my god, like the cow is like, you know, she's like a medium for the cow and she's like mooing at Utica. Wow, this is amazing. Honestly, I feel like people who are even like believe in psychics would look at this and be like, this is like a phony bullshit. But everyone in the comments who's like into psychics, tell me how you feel. I would actually be, that's actually something. Everyone who's into psychics and who like believes in that shit, say it in the comments if you like, what do you think about this this part of the show, this challenge? I would love to actually hear. So those are some of the weirdest moments in all of Drag Race. If you have any weird moments that I forgot, please leave them down in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps me out and it helps the channel grow. I'm trying to get to 100,000 by the end of the year, so if you could help out in any way, I would greatly appreciate it. I have a Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to go check out any of those, please do. I also have a Patreon, which has an extended version of this video and previous videos that I've done in the past. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. And now it is time to give an extra special shout out to Cam, Reese Burke, James Burton, Cool Gal Nan, Vincent Goshdan Wren, Vern Wisner, Craig Blythe, Brony RuPaul, Valerie with Love, Jabroni, Giovanni JPEG, The Flame Chaser, Cat Chat, Yuno, Michael, Planet Daniel, The Almighty Anginator, Jim Jamie James Bradshaw, Nico Montano, Ravi Kasari, Eve, Dip, Oliver Wyatt, Giovanni Vicari, Yoon Wyatt, Vico Pop, Matt F, and Tone. Thank you so much, every single Patreon. You make these videos possible. I say it to you every week, and I'm going to continue to say it to the ends of the earth from climate change, because guys, that's a real issue. I want to use my platform for good, and I want to just spread issue. You may not have heard of climate change, and I may be the first one bringing this to your attention, but it's really important to look into it. And guess the people who don't commit climate change, these people right here, the patrons. Okay, thank you.